Hey everybody, it is late at night and I'm Norman. I just got the first vintage field watch that I've ever owned. This is an A17 Korean War era watch, and I got it for a great price on eBay, and this thing is absolutely brilliant. So tonight we're going to do a full review of this watch. Let us begin. So here's my Bulova A17A watch. Even though it's the same size as A11 watches from World War II, this is actually a bit later. This is from the 50s. So it's around the time of the Korean War. And these were built as kind of an upgrade to the A11. There was a special process that was done on these cases to help them resist corrosion. I'll do a video going over that and some more information about the A17 spec. This watch did not arrive with the strap at all, so I got online and found this one. It's a pretty cool strap. I'm not sure how much of a fan I am of this piece here, because it kind of makes it stiff. You can see how it doesn't really bend terribly well. And I feel like this keeper could just float freely. Being this canvas, I don't think it would move around. There's quite a bit of friction, but that's fine. The buckle's really nice and unique. I don't think I've seen a buckle quite like this. How it kind of goes in that middle piece there. I love these canvas straps with these vintage field watches. They just look amazing. Looking at the lugs, they're drilled. As you can see, the entire case is bead blasted. Here we have some lines here. So I guess it's kind of brushed in a way, or brushed and then bead blasted. The crowns on these are huge, so they're really nice to operate. It reminds me of a miniature khaki field. The crown kind of feels similar on this one. Looking at the case back, it's a little bit roughed up. But what's cool is if you look up these watches online, you'll see that the case back on this, the inscription, absolutely matches what you'll see in articles about these watches. The serial number's different, obviously, but all of this text here is exactly what I saw in the article I was reading about the A17 spec. That's pretty cool. You can see that this watch has some thickness to it, and that huge crystal adds to that. I absolutely love that crystal, by the way. Alright, let's see what it's like to operate this watch. Winding it is so smooth. It feels like a modern watch movement when you're winding it. That is super cool. It does stop abruptly, so you have to be kind of careful not to be too rough on it there when it stops. We'll pop this out. And look at how thick that is. We'll have to get out the loop and really inspect this here. I think it's just a really thick crown tube there. There's some nice resistance here. I mean, this is pretty crazy. It feels like a contemporary watch, just in utilizing the crown. And of course it hacks, because that is part of the spec. Pop this back in. And there it goes. So I'm guessing that this watch was re-lumed, because that's in such good shape. The crystal is new. And I'm guessing that the dial was redone at one point, because it's also in really great shape. You can see down here, there's some scraping there. It looks like at one point maybe the hour hand was on there crooked and scratched it a bit. There's also a dimple down here. And I didn't notice either of those until I decided to get out the poly watch and touch up this crystal, so they're pretty subtle. I love the dial on this watch, with the minutes called out on the outside there, the hours on the inside, and 24-hour markers inside of that. The color on this lume is really cool, and I love those hands. So awesome. And just look at that crystal. That really makes this watch fun. It just looks so cool when you look down at it. Now, I'm not sure if this lume actually works, so let's try charging it up and see what happens. Alright, so we'll give it a good charge here. And you do see some glowing. Let's go someplace dark. Yeah, not really much of anything. I'm pretty sure it fades pretty much right away. Yeah, that's fine. The case on this little guy feels really tough and solid. It feels like a piece of military equipment. That's pretty cool. As for the specifications on this watch, the case size is only 32 millimeters, which is what you would expect from a piece like this. Definitely vintage military size. The height is 12 millimeters, including the crystal. The lug to lug is 39 millimeters. The lug width is 16 millimeters. The case is stainless steel. So these watches aren't plated base metal. They're actually steel. The crystal is acrylic. And these were made in the 1950s. I'm going to do a follow-up video going over all kinds of information on these watches. Alright, so let me remove my brilliant Dolce Vita, and we'll see what it's like when you're wearing this watch. And here is the Bulova A17A on my 7-inch wrist. You can see that it actually wears pretty well, even though it is tiny. And if you like contemporary sized watches, or you have a larger wrist, take heart, my friends, because there are actually quite a few brands who are creating pieces that are inspired by these and other vintage field watches, but they're doing them in more contemporary sizes. I'll be doing a video on all of those, so that if you're after this aesthetic but want something bigger, those may be good options for you. In person, this crown doesn't quite stand out as much as it does on video or in photos. In fact, until I took some pictures of this watch, I really didn't notice just how big it is. So in person, that isn't a problem. But when you see it in pictures, yeah, it definitely stands out as being giant. You can kind of see where this strap is a bit stiff here. In time it should loosen up and be just fine, but these straps are just perfect on these watches. And the cool thing about canvas straps, if you have a watch that has water resistance, when they get wet they don't expand like nylon does. So you don't have to adjust the strap tighter when it's wet and then loosen it when it dries up again. But look at that crystal. That is so cool. What a brilliant little watch. I put it on a time grapher and it actually isn't doing too bad. It's fast by about 15 seconds. The amplitude looks good. The beat error could use a bit of adjusting, same with the accuracy. So I might open this up and do a little bit of regulating since it looks pretty healthy. I'll just dial that in a little bit. We'll see. Super cool little piece of history. So there you have it, my super awesome A17A field watch. I absolutely love the crystal on this thing, and the overall aesthetic is just absolutely amazing. This watch is so cool. Thanks for watching.